what happened today. I want to talk about this article I read earlier this morning about Mexican archaeologists burying a pre-Hispanic underground tunnel system that was discovered in 2019 by Mexican archaeologists, which showed that this tunneling system was an underground aqueduct or an underground sewer system that predates the Spanish arrival to Mexico, Cortez. So the reason they're burying it is because it doesn't coincide with their narrative in Mexico and in so-called South America that all techniques of architecture and building was done by the Spanish. And this actually disproves everything that they've been teaching. So their solution was to just bury it under dirt and say there's nothing to be seen here. But let me read this article. In a strange turn of events, researchers in Mexico have announced that they plan to rebury an unusual archaeological monument found in the outskirts of Mexico City, covering up an important historical discovery until some unknown time in the future. So they say they don't even know when they're going to reintroduce it back into the society. The discovery in question is a tunnel built centuries ago as part of the Albarradón de Ecatepec, a flood control system of dikes and waterways constructed to protect the historical city of Tenochtitlan from rising waters. Tenochtitlan, widely viewed as the capital city of the Aztec Empire, featured numerous dam systems to prevent flooding from torrential rains, but Spanish conquistadors failed at first to appreciate the ingenuity of this indigenous infrastructure, destroying many of the pre-Hispanic constructions in the early years of the Spanish colonization. However, after numerous floods inundated the early colonial Mexico City, the Albarradón de Ecatepec and other flood control systems like it were built or repaired in the early 60s. So they're trying to claim that after the so-called Spaniards destroyed these waterways or underground tunnel systems, they supposedly rebuilt them or repaired them in the early 1600s. Centuries later, archaeologists with the National Institute of Anthropology and History discovered one such feature within the Albarradón de Ecatepec, finding in 2019 a tunnel that preserved a unique synthesis of the cultures that created it. So here we go. Now, when they looked at these symbols that was in this tunnel, they were of the old Aztec, pre-Hispanic culture. This is the reason they want to bury it, because they don't want to discover what else is under there as far as the writings and the symbols, because they want to take credit for this construction. So they're trying to say they forced slaves to build this, even though the building was done by the Spanish or the so-called Romans. It was actually forced labor. That's why the so-called people who built it put symbols of the Aztec Empire inside of the tunnel system and not Spanish symbols or Roman symbols. So they want to claim ownership of this, but they really can't, because there's no evidence that Spain had nothing to do with it. This small tunnel gate measured they only got 8.4 meters of this tunnel system out of 2.5 miles, representing only a tiny part of the colossal Albarradón de Ecatepec monument, which in total extended for 4 kilometers 2.5 miles built by thousands of indigenous workers. So they saying slaves. They only got to they only got 8.4 meters of it, and after seeing the inscriptions of the indigenous culture, they just said forget it. We're just gonna rebury it. Said forget it. But while it was small, it was still an important and unusual discovery. The researchers finding several pre-Hispanic glyphs displaying in the structure. In total, 11 symbols were discovered, including representations of a war shield right here. Hold on. Right here. Of a war shield, the head of a bird of prey, and raindrops, among others. These symbols right here of the ancient Aztec or Olmec culture. It's thought the symbols may have been built into the tunnel by non-Hispanic residents from the towns of Ecatepec and Chiconawa, who helped to construct the Albaridan, the Ecatepec. While the dike featured pre-Hispanic iconography, its overall architecture suggests the Spanish were in charge of the design. So therefore, because it had cut stone, limestone, and arches, they can't force themselves to believe that the Aztecs had this technology. Here we go right here. One objective of our project was to know the construction system of the road, which has allowed us to prove that it does not have pre-Hispanic methods, but rather semicircular arches and andesite voussoirs, lime and sand mortars, and a floor on the upper part with stone and Asher master lines. Researchers, so because it had these aspects of architecture, it had to be Spanish. Everything is Roman and Spanish influence, but there's another possibility. Carthaginians were the people who actually invented the sewer systems, running water systems, aqueduct systems, in which the Romans acquired. Also the semicircular arches that we see all throughout the United States. This is actually Carthaginian technology, not Roman. But the fact that they would actually say everything is Roman and Spanish. They say Rome, the Roman Empire fell in 500 AD. So they saying that the Romans was in America. The Spanish, who actually came to the United States, had no technology. They was living off the remnants of what the Moors left. They had no knowledge of building arches, no knowledge of building anything. Watch this. But let me finish reading this. The discovery was intended to be made into public exhibit so that people could visit and inspect the unusual centuries-old fusion of Aztec and Spanish cultural elements. But unfortunately, it's not to be. They trying to actually force themselves into something that's not Spanish. There's no Latin letters. They only got how many meters they got out of 2.5 miles? They only dug out 8 meters, which is 8 times 3 is 24 feet. And after seeing enough of this, they say we can't go no more, because they don't want to disrupt the fact that the pre-Hispanic inhabitants of Mexico had supreme technology, a massive sewer system, which means that this was a modern city. Hold on. researchers from INH have now announced that due to lack of funds to properly construct the exhibit and protect the remarkable structure, the recently discovered tunnel section, the 8.4 meters, will now have to be covered up once more, with the tunnel to be reburied so that it doesn't become damaged, vandalized, or looted. So they're going to rebury this thing that showed the fact that the pre-Hispanic settlers or inhabitants of Mexico built a massive underground tunnel system with arches, bricks, cut stone, and lines before they even came. If they was able to do this, they was able to do everything else. They could have built the whole country with this technology. Watch this. Let me show some of these images. Hold on, let me go back. See that arch right there? This is still buried. They only dug out a couple of feet. Hold on. One objective. Hold on. According to the researchers, the decision is largely due to the ongoing economic impacts of, they're going to blame COVID, which has so far claimed a lot of lives. The researchers say they will construct special masonry to protect the glyphs. Now they're going to destroy these glyphs. It's not every day archaeologists have to undiscover. I wish they would have undiscovered America, the cultural treasures that they reveal in the ground. Here's hoping it won't be too long before this section of the Albaradon de Ecatepec epic gets to see the light of day once more. They're going to determine that they're going to bury this history. After they dug up 8 meters, they're going to rebury a 4-kilometer tunnel that could be reused to prevent flooding and other damage. But because it shows that the Spanish or the pre-Hispanic conquistadors had nothing to do with it, they're going to bury it and probably destroy it altogether with bulldozers. Perfectly preserved arch. And this thing had to be at least 20 feet deep, because they are at the top of the arch. They're at the very top of the arch. Probably was about 30 feet. Hold on. Show some of these images. Look at this. Look at that. Could even be so-called African, but I would say Carthaginian. Look at this right here. Let me look at another one. This arch. Look at these bricks. These are modern bricks, clay bricks, to make this perfect arch. And this is the top of the arch. So how deep does this really go? See what I'm saying? Look at this pillar right here. Well, that could just be scattered bricks. But yeah, this is something I wanted to talk about. I read this article earlier, and this is more proof that the Carthaginians, because this is Carthaginian technology, a sewer system, which every major city in America has a massive underground sewer system to prevent flooding, damming, and other natural disasters, primarily flooding, and also to dispose of waste material and to pump water, water reclamation. This is Carthaginian technology, which is present in this capital of the so-called Aztec Empire, a modern underground sewer system that most modern cities don't even have, not even Dubai. They say if it rained in Dubai, the whole city will flood in 2 hours. They don't even have an underground sewer system to protect themselves from flooding And we don't even know how old this really is. We don't even know. See this right here? They're just gonna bury it as though it never happened. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. But yeah, that's what so-called non-Hispanic people. Non-Hispanic is really a Caucasian, a European. A non-European has to be in charge of the archaeology and the history, so they won't just bury something that disproves the so-called white influence. Or look at this. Look at the dimension of this. This is a bas relief. Look at these stones they put up in here. Look at this art design. It's like it's asymmetrical, but it is symmetrical. Look at this. It's a massive sewer system. And imagine what it's really connected to. It could actually be a bridge, but it say it was dams and tunnels to prevent flooding. Notes to Chilan from Rising Waters. The discovery in question is a tunnel built centuries ago as part of the Albaradon de Ecatopic, a flood control system of dikes and waterways constructed to protect the historical city of Tenochtitlan from rising waters. And they just gonna bury it. Capital of the Aztec Empire. They're just gonna bury it. Nothing to see here, but that's about it though. I just want to talk about how they want to bury history that doesn't coincide with the narrative of so-called white supremacy.